Hey there, it's editorial cartoonist Ted Rall coming to you from the left, just to tell you how exactly it is that Israel has already lost its war against Hamas. Now, you might be asking, how could that possibly be? The damage, loss of life has been just absolutely horrendous and tremendous on the Gazan side. Half the population is on the run, half the housing stock and the buildings have been destroyed, 2/3 of the population is homeless. You now have hospitals destroyed. At least 11,000 Palestinians have been killed. That's not including the violence on the West Bank. Things have been really stirred up. Well, that was, of course, the goal. It's called asymmetric warfare for a reason. And that's exactly what Hamas unleashed against Israel on October 7th. Until October 7th, the Palestinian conflict had been all but forgotten. For 15 years, the people of Palestine had been locked up behind a blockade, and that's in the case of Gaza. In the case of the West Bank, they were locked behind encampments and carefully controlled. Israel was moving towards normalized relations with countries that are very radically Muslim, even including Saudi Arabia, but of course, less radical regimes like the UAE and Qatar, etc., were also moving towards normalization. Trump moved the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Biden let that decision stick. And you had a very, very far-right cabinet being led by Benjamin Netanyahu. So the leaders of Hamas in Qatar decided to do something radical. They decided to do what I did when I was a kid and I was trying to learn how to play Monopoly, and I didn't like how it was going, so I picked up the board and I threw all the pieces up in the air. I was like, fuck this. Well, that's exactly what Hamas has done here. And you could argue with their methods, and you can call it terrorism, and you would be right. Resistance organizations should never target civilians. We would be having a different conversation if it was 1,200 dead IDF soldiers in a military base, as opposed to the way it actually played out. But now the point is that the Israelis, by overreacting exactly the way that Hamas's leadership calculated, have completely eclipsed the horrors that occurred on October 7th. So Israel is no longer the victim. They may think they're the victim, and their friendly media outlets here will promote them as such, but it's not being taken seriously. The fact is that the reaction has horrified the entire world, and it has exposed the Israelis exactly as the monsters in the eyes of much of the world that the Palestinians and specifically Hamas have wanted to portray. So yeah, they've won. Now the Palestinian conflict is front and center on the international stage. The head of the UN, Antonio Guterres, is furious at Israel. You have Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is criticizing Israel vociferously. Now, these are bad times for Israel. And you even have Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying that we're not going to be able to go to the status quo ante if and when Hamas is removed. Palestinians are going to have to govern Gaza, and there can't be another blockade like there was for the last 15 years. Now, Hamas has won. The people of Gaza are suffering horribly, and it remains to be seen whether the Palestinian cause has been advanced. I suspect that despite everything, yeah, it has been, and Israel's never going to be able to put those 5 million Palestinians back in the box of their apartheid regime. Ted Rall coming to you from the left.